Melbourne town where the suits all grind. There's a lawyer with a vision, one of a kind. He's the Aussie Overlaw'd. He'll fight for your rights, and he's got his own channel shining bright. From the courtroom to the web, he's got it all. Sharing legal knowledge, answering the call. He breaks it down in a language we all understand. The Aussie Overlaw'd taking a stand. With his Aussie charm and his legal know-how, he's the hero we need, showing us how. He fights for justice, no case too tough. The Aussie Overlaw'd, he's more than enough.
God, at some point I've really got to rewrite that.
He's more than enough.
Let's do it to it. Let's see, audio input capture. Yeah, I majorly screwed that up. I genuinely thought I had a page that would allow me to just play that, but apparently not. Alright, I need audio input capture. Chat. There we go. Okay. Not 100% sure why you said that was on brand, but screw it. It still had no sound? What the fuck? You know what? Never mind. It's a cat on a bed with a tablet hitting the cat icon that keeps saying pussy, 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 pussy. Oh, it did? Okay. All right. Doesn't matter. Anyway, good afternoon, good evening, and good night, legends. How are we doing, folks? We are back for another week. Holy crap, I can't believe I made it. It had sound? Okay, good. Glad to hear it. So, it was your cat blocking people? Yes, let's blame the cat. No, but in all seriousness, what do we got tonight? Well, tonight, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. case I don't see you tomorrow, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. Gem's trying to get 50 subs out of you. What? We're on the backup channel. We're not monetized here. No memberships, no super chats. So if you feel like supporting, just hit the like button on the video. I mean, you can send me a PayPal, but with everything that's going on with PayPal, I'm not too trusting of them. And I don't know if I've got Ko-Fi or buy me a coffee and that sort of thing set up or not. I am really terrible at grifting, quite obviously and quite substantially. But things that have got me rattled today. Well, the main target of my ire is State Premier Jacinta Allen. Think our equivalent here in Victoria of a governor, who in the last 48 hours has pissed me off multiple times. Firstly, by refusing to reconvene Parliament to release the details of the inquiry that I was so vehemently against into what happened with the daycare centre, including what may or may not have happened to my daughter. That inquiry was supposed to be rushed through. They got the results today, and despite already saying that they will commit to enforcing each and every recommendation, they've turned around and said, no, we're not telling you what's in this report. We're not saying what this inquiry is, and we're not bringing Parliament back early so that you guys can get a copy of it. Needless to say, Lady Overlaw'd was again on the news today. So, it's a thing on D-Day Cobra Cast. If someone successfully tricks Jeremy into thinking he's muted when he's not, he gifts 10 to 50 subs. You think I'm made of D-Day Cobra money? Are you serious? That's why it's on brand. The sound didn't work. Send me Robux. No thanks. Didn't hear it. Maybe I was supposed to in the other ear. I don't know. I mean, look, the sound was playing pretty low anyway, so don't worry about it. But in addition to that, Jacinta Allen this week also decided that instead of helping the Country Fire Authority, our firefighters, and, you know, paying $13 million to replace a bunch of basically a bunch of no longer fit for service fire trucks that are dangerous and are still being used out in rural Victoria. No, she decided that, hey, you know what? Given all the machetes and everything that people are being attacked with in Melbourne, we're going to waste $13 million and install charity bins out the front of the police stations so that people who actually have machetes can dispose of them under an amnesty program that's going to run through till, sometime in October, November? Yes, because there is nothing more that a gang member who's breaking into people's houses with a machete wants to do than to walk up to the outside of a police station and throw a large knife into a bin where they may or may not be on camera. They really didn't frickin' think this through. And keep in mind, these bins, they're saying that they cost $300 and something odd thousand. No, it's not a buyback. It's literally just you hand them into the bin. You open the drawer, you put the machete in, close the drawer, it clatters to the bottom. Personally, I feel like that's a collection storage, and eventually one of those bins is going to go missing, and we're just going to have completely rearmed teens on the streets. I don't know. That much for a box? Exactly. That's my point, okay? Because someone else sourced them. Someone else did the math, contacted manufacturers, and they were able to basically get the equivalent for $4,000 a pop. I want to know where the other $321,000 per bin is going. We're talking 40 bins for $13 million. Can't be bothered, can't be asked to go out and fix the failing fire authorities, which instead she's decided she's going to charge regional Victorians a additional tax to try and cover over her $190 billion tax hole that she's got for failed projects that have blown out in Melbourne. Oh no, instead we're just going to continue to tax people through the nose and expect them to be happy with it all, you know? I know it's a bigger waste of taxpayer money, that or the UK going after white citizens for catcalling. I have not seen anything about catcalling, but that doesn't shock me, honestly. They had a gun buyback in Chicago, a gun that was got lost in the police station, ended up in a teen's hand and shot a woman. Jesus, seriously? Like 20 minutes ago, when I was scrolling through X, I saw a photo of one. It was a homemade shotgun, and it was basically like a piece of pipe taped to a 2x4, and he handed it in, and they still gave him $200 for it. I'm like, Jesus Christ. I mean, sure, free money, but anyway. He's snorting up a nose via mysterious white powdery substance. Well, that's the other thing that I'm thinking that we'll talk about tonight, is that apparently Australians are one of the most highly drugged up nations in the world. So we'll have a look at that. Should be something fun like those squishy pen things. It could be put the machete into a fun shape and stamp it into a motivational message. Well, look, and here's the thing, because to me, this is no different than the fucking, everything that happened after the Port Arthur massacre. Now, don't get me wrong. Mass shooting, bad. Do I think that the way that it panned out should have happened? No. Do I think that what they're doing right now is going to affect gun crime or knife crime or gang-related violence? Is it going to address any of the base issues that are causing our society to go to shit? No, it is not. And just for bow, later we're going to be talking about the Rise Up Australia rally that's being held around the nation on the 31st, and how some people have really got their heads stuck up their asses about it. Martin Bryant's a patsy. Oh. People figured out that they would take any gun part, so they 3D printed the lowers just to get all the gift cards from a buyback. Yeah, it's actually fairly clever. You have two attractive female officers in form-hugging exercise outfits, jogging, patrolling for cat calls. Police even admitted that there's no laws being broken, but they need to have a chat anyway. What the fuck? That's a brilliant waste of taxpayer funds, honestly. Actually, you know what? I kind of feel like that's entrapment as well. But firstly, we've got to talk about one of the worst news articles, or should I say one of the worst news stories that has come out of Australia all week. And this is basically on the back of, again, Jacinta Allen and Labor and the Greens being a massive pain in my backside and voting down 18 to 17 to have our castle doctrine laws reviewed and basically have a look at what our self-defense laws are. A lot of this footage, now I'm not sure if I haven't actually played it yet, but this footage is from a break-in over the last couple of days. The poor bastard on the ground gets hit with a crowbar approximately 12 times, I believe, from memory from the news coverage of it. 3 guys broke into the house, beat the shit out of family members, and, I mean, if you listen to the mother-in-law, or soon-to-be mother-in-law, it's because the guy that her daughter was dating was a no-hoper and a gang member, whatever else. Point is, this comes on the back of our government here in Victoria refusing to even review beefing up our self-defense laws. It's pathetic. Entrapment's legal in the UK, sadly. Huh. We even allowed a great whistle as part of your self-defense laws. Well, see, here's the thing. Our self-defense laws basically say that you as the homeowner, if someone breaks in, effectively have to retreat. Because you can use force, but it has to be proportional. If someone comes at you with a knife, well, you can't exactly kill them even in that circumstance. There was an incident where a gentleman walked into his daughter's room and found a already convicted pedophile standing over her bed. He put the guy into a chokehold. The guy had I gotta be careful here, because there's conflated stories, and I want to make sure that I'm talking about the right one here. Because there's been a couple of stories where individuals have been placed into chokeholds and the intruder has died. But the story that has been relayed to me is that he put this convicted pedophile, who he found standing over his daughter's bed in his house in the middle of the night, as if that makes it any worse or better. He put him into a chokehold, guy dies, and the police went through with charging the homeowner with murder. Now, of course, a reasonable jury acquitted him. But in that instance, as far as I'm concerned, it should not even have got anywhere near a trial. The other incident, which again involved a chokehold, was a neighbor rushed in because a elderly gentleman was being assaulted, was being held up against a wall, whatnot. And this guy apparently was from the US, who just happened to be living here in Australia. And apparently he was a Marine, which if I was a neighbor, I'd be very fucking thankful for. But he also put this guy into a chokehold. The guy had a heart attack, and he also was facing murder. Now, I don't know what the outcome of that particular case is at this point in time. I really need to look into that, because I only really heard about that one on the way home in the car this afternoon, so I haven't really looked too deep to those stories. Had a dude in Seattle get into an argument over stolen valor, wasn't even a veteran, and shot the veteran who was the aggressor and claimed self-defense when he was what the fuck? Self-defense laws in the land down under are even worse than New York City. Yeah. Anyway, let's have a look at this footage, shall we? Why is this camera so high and low on me? That one's better. That works. Oh, I should say trigger warning, just in case. Because like I said, I haven't watched the full thing of this footage.
Swollen face after a hard punch. Her cousin, 61-year-old Kamal Akbulut, was shot, stabbed and bashed with a hammer.
5 guys inside the house with guns and knives and everything full of.
Confronting footage has emerged after a terrifying moment. 5 masked intruders held a grandmother at gunpoint before launching a brutal assault on her cousin. The 57-year-old and her cousin, who was 60, were asleep inside their Gladstone Park home in Melbourne just before 1:30 a.m. on July 24th. Now, to be fair, this is about 3.5 weeks ago. When the men armed with a hammer, a knife and a firearm stormed inside. Mr. Akbulut confronted the intruders in the kitchen before they placed a firearm in his mouth and made demands for cash. Graphic CCTV footage from inside the home depicted the hooded intruders repeatedly beating and stabbing him as he pled with them to stop. "This is what happens when you fuck with us," said one intruder who could be heard yelling as the other men took turns attacking the bloodied man. "Please, I can't take it anymore. Take whatever you want," he pleaded after the men demanded that he hand over his wallet. Actually, you know what? I think I still have the tweet saved. Give me a second. Yes, I did a huge amount of prep work for tonight. Don't even try with me. Where are you? I need my bookmarks. I should still have it saved. That's David Limerick's one, which I can use there. All right. So this was one of our Libertarian Party members talking on the Senate floor about 3 days ago. Okay? This guy put forward the motion that we at least review, not even like query or question or change, just review whether or not our self-defense laws are applicable and appropriate. Now, this is like 8 minutes long, so I will play it at 1.25 and I will be interrupting. But this was the main thing that really just pissed me right the fuck off.
Why have I chosen to do this today? Well, as we would all know from media reports, many people now in our state, unfortunately, are becoming the victims of home invasions. People that come into their house to rob them or cause harm to them and their families. And some of these people are fighting back against the criminals. And I'm not certain that the current laws protect homeowners, protect people when they fight back against these criminals.
Is that cutting everything off?
In fact, I met a man who was here this morning actually at Parliament, but I went out to his house last week. Aaron, he's in my electorate in Clyde. Unfortunately, I think probably all members here have constituents in their electorate that have suffered some form of home invasion. And what happened? He lives in a really nice new estate. I was quite impressed by how quiet and beautiful it was. Nice neighbours that all talk to each other. It's the classic Australian dream, like a beautiful estate, nice house with his family, lives with his wife and daughter. But one night last year, in August last year, a year ago, he heard a noise And he said, fortunately, his teenage daughter was not home that night. She was with a friend, but him and his wife were home. His wife called the police, as the Attorney General suggested that people should do, and yes, they should call the police. But then they have a choice. What do they do next? Because the police take some time and the criminals are very quick. So Aaron was prepared. He had a baseball bat. He picked up the baseball bat and he went out.
Which, to be fair, under our current laws, you're not supposed to do. You're not supposed to be able to use any sort of weapon of premeditation. That includes having a baseball bat under your bed. That includes having a spray can of deodorant that you keep on your bedside table in case of intruders. That is actually seen as an aggravating factor in you assaulting someone, breaking into your house. These laws need to change badly and quickly. But it's not going to happen under Jacinta Allen, who likes to bury her head in the sand with this shit. And we're going to play some clips of her as well later. No, we basically cannot defend our property. I am trying to find the very specific quote from the from the Labor MPs that voted against this motion. Because what this guy here is doing is, in the Senate, he was giving his speech about a motion to ask the government for a review, not an inquiry, not proposing legislation, anything like that, just to table a review of whether or not our self-defense laws are appropriate. Couldn't even get that across the line because of these fucking bleeding hearts. I swear to God, I'm over it.
Out and confronted this intruder in his home, and the intruder had some possessions of his. The intruder panicked and ran away into the night. I said to Aaron, what do you think would have happened if you had have actually hit this guy in the head with your baseball bat? And no one can actually give me a straight answer of whether that's considered proportionate and reasonable under the law, because the intruder was not armed.
Literally, the people that drafted the law, the police, the parliamentary secretaries, couldn't answer that goddamn question. Whether or not he would have been charged with assault because the intruder in the house was not armed at the time. Now, as I posted on X earlier today, I don't really give a fuck whether or not someone is armed if they break into my house. By that stage, they've already decided that my property is more valuable to them than their well-being and safety. That's the long and the short of it. If I think my family is anyway in danger, I don't really care if I'm spending time behind bars as a result of it. And this whole thing with, oh, well, if we change the self-defense laws, people are going to take the law into their own hands. You know what? In certain circumstances, people are going to be doing that anyway, particularly if they feel that their lives or those of their family are in danger. It's really fucking straightforward as far as I'm concerned. When seconds matter, the police are minutes away. I always found that phrase to be spot on. It's very true, AP.
The intruder was not armed and Aaron was, and maybe he would have gotten into serious trouble and would have been awful. And the one thing that, when you speak to people who are victims of home invasion, one thing that you really notice is the trauma that's inflicted on them, because no longer do they feel safe in their own home. In fact, Aaron told me that he's moved.
Fuck that! With all the reports of the break-ins and everything, I don't feel safe, and I haven't even had a break-in yet.
Moving house. He doesn't want to live in that house anymore. Another victim of home invasion, who was also here at Parliament this morning, Carly, she had a person come into their home and steal their possessions while they were home. And again, similar scenario, doesn't feel safe in her home, and her and her partner are actually leaving the state.
I don't fucking blame them.
Awful state of affairs. They were lucky though, because there's been other cases. I'll give you another case. In Queensland a while ago, there was a father with his wife in a home. Many of these cases are families.
Here he's going to talk about the guy that found the one that was standing over the bed.
And he heard noises in the night. And he went to check on his infant daughter's bedroom, and there was a man standing in his infant daughter's bedroom. It turned out that this man was a convicted sex offender, and there was an altercation. I think every father can sympathise with this man.
Absolutely.
And he fought the intruder. And so what happened was the police arrived. So the police were called again. In this case, the police arrived and the men were having an altercation. The intruder died. He had a heart attack. And this man was charged with murder. So a man defending his infant daughter in his own home against an intruder was charged with murder. He served...
Is that not insane? Like, legitimately, is that not insane? Oh no, he should have just retreated from the room and hoped that the guy would leave on his own. What the fuck is wrong with these people?
Time in remand whilst he was awaiting trial, and eventually his case went to trial, and he was acquitted. He was acquitted, but not because the self-defence was reasonable and proportionate. He was acquitted because a medical expert said that the heart attack was due to the intruder's methamphetamine addiction, and he had a bad heart, and it caused him to have a heart attack. There was another case which was...
That shouldn't have gotten anywhere near trial, let alone relying on a jury, and let alone relying on medical evidence that the meth addict sex offender that broke into somebody's house died of what could be considered natural causes. Get fucked. This is why I'm saying it feels like the world is on fire, and we've got people like Jacinta Allen, like certain other Labor MPs that we're going to talk about in a minute, saying, oh yeah, you know what? We're just going to have a revolving door on the bail and remand system. We're going to put a band-aid on things by saying, oh, well, we'll try and take away people's machetes. Like that's going to fucking make a difference. So if the dad had run, if the creep had run off from the dad and died up the street, would he have still been on trial? Probably not for murder in that instance. So a property boundary sign a few years back that said, my property's not worth your life. Think about your choices. Don't be stupid. If I were to put a sign like that on my front door or boundary line or anything like that, there's a good chance I'd be getting a visit from the cops. It's a very sorry state of affairs.
Really brought to my attention after the media this week, a Victorian man. He was in his home. Two men came to his home, not to rob him, but to do him harm, to hurt him. There'd been some incident between, it was over girls or something, but they came round to hurt him. And of course, there was an altercation. At some point, this man who had two intruders in his house with the intent to do him harm, at some point, he picked up a knife from his kitchen, as many people would in a panic. He said in the court transcript that he didn't actually remember doing that. This is common to victims of crime and victims of trauma. They forget things. And he picked up a knife and he stabbed one of the men and he killed him. He's currently serving a sentence for murder in Victorian prison. Now, I think that all Victorians think, or most Victorians at least, think that people in their homes defending themselves against these criminals the government and the law should have their back when they fight back against crime. It happens too much at the moment.
Oh, no. Someone breaks into your house, is threatening you. You have to call 000 and hope that the cops get there on time. Yes, doorbell reloads, yeah.
Where criminals act with impunity, and then when people fight back, they're worried if they're going to get in trouble with the law. And I don't want them worrying whether they're going to get in trouble with the law. When people fight back against criminals, I think that we should stand with the people fighting back. And, if a criminal gets hurt by a homeowner because they're creeping around in their house at night trying to steal their possessions or cause them harm, well, I don't have much sympathy for them. They've invaded someone's home, and I think most people wouldn't have much sympathy for them.
And that's really one of the big problems that I've got, is that I've seen a number of individuals trying to delineate between, oh, this person was just taking your property, as opposed to this person was threatening your safety and well-being. How the fuck are you supposed to be able to tell the difference between that at 2 a.m. when they're wearing balaclavas and walking around in the dark with flashlights? Am I supposed to try and make the decision as to, oh, they're just there to steal my computer, they're not actually going to hurt us? Fuck right off. Need to move to Texas. That sign to be my neighbor's property is not worth your life. Legal to defend yours and neighbor's property in Texas. No shit.
Possessions are one thing, right? Like if someone steals your possessions, you can claim it on insurance and stuff. But I don't know, I'm a father, I've got 3 kids. Anyone, if you've got an intruder in your home, most Victorians, I think, don't know the law and don't even think about the law when someone comes into their house and they want to defend their family.
Exactly. Someone that is actually in that situation is not going to be thinking about it. They shouldn't be getting arrested after the fact because they've defended themselves and their property.
They're not thinking about the law, they're thinking about defending their family. And I think that that is all they should be thinking about. It's sad that it happens in the first place. Now, I've constructed this motion in such a way that it is very minimal. It is not an inquiry that is going to embarrass anyone. It's asking the Victorian Law Reform Commission to review these laws. We know the Commission can do this because they did this once back in 2013. And I'm asking them to do it again because I think that with the number of home invasions at the moment and the number of people that are suffering this, sooner or later, we're going to have a situation where someone that I think most people in Victoria sympathise with people defending their homes, sooner or later, someone's going to get in trouble with the law. And I want to make sure that the law has their back, that the law looks out for them. And so I cannot understand why anyone would not want to look at this and make sure that our laws are fit for purpose, because that's...
And yet, more than half of the senators that were in the chamber at the time voted against this motion. Said, no, you know what, far as we're concerned, the people of Victoria are on their own when it comes to self-defense. They want to injure somebody defending themselves or their property, they can do time after the fact. No, we just expect them to be able to allow people to walk into their house, steal their property, leave, or, you know what, worse, walk into their property, threaten their lives, injure somebody potentially, and let them leave. And let the police handle it after the fact. It is so reactionary that it is goddamn blood boiling.
Our job as MPs and as members of Parliament, that's our job to make sure the laws are fit for purpose. There are a large number of crimes happening at the moment. Sooner or later, someone's going to fight back. They might, the courts or the police or whoever might think that they went too far and they'll get into trouble. I want to stop that happening. It's about time that Victorians stop being scared and we started making the criminals scared. Thank you. Why?
And if you have a look how much the goddamn government cared about that situation. That motion was on notice. It was put on the daily agenda, and everybody, bar the president, the administrators, and a couple of other senators decided, you know what, we're going to listen to this. It's goddamn disgusting. I've never been one that's been okay with the fact that parliamentarians, who we pay hundreds of thousands of dollars a year, cannot attend when there's motions like this, when there is discussions about proposed changes to law. Oh no, as far as we're concerned, it doesn't matter. We don't really give a shit about it. We're not even going to grace the chamber with our presence. It's what you're goddamn being paid for. Now, I'm going to see whether or not the Wayback Machine has this particular news article or not. I will read it to you without the... No, it hasn't been. All right. All right. That's fine.
What?
So, as I said, David Limbrick put forward a motion to just have a review. Not even anything that the parliamentarians would need to do, because it was the Law Reform Commission. A bunch of lawyers to get together and look and see whether or not certain changes are needed to be made. But no, they couldn't even be bothered to do that, because then we had this. That's our premier, by the way. That's our governor, Jacinta Allen. Jacinta, if I had half the financial backing that I think I would need, I would absolutely be running against you and trying to take your job. I don't care if I have to move into a particular suburb. You have pissed me the fuck off, Bendigo Barbie. And my wife cannot stand you. After everything that has happened with the childcare saga, how you have treated the people of Victoria, I highly doubt you are going to be in power this time next year. Or should I say after the election next year, which thinking about it is in November. And I cannot wait to see you on your sorry ass. Laws about protecting the people that voted them into power so they can continue destroying the country for monetary gain. Sounds about right. Maybe your laws do need changing, more worrying that the state tried to prosecute in the first place, knowing that they were just protecting themselves and their families. So, here's what actually came out of this, all right? Victoria rejects clarity around self-defense. The insane reasons given by Labor, who is this chick in charge of, the Greens, who are our really uber left-wing, and the Animal Justice Party. Why is it that the Victorian Parliament managed to unite in rapid time over a useless machete ban, but failed to support clarity regarding basic rights of Victorians to protect themselves and their homes from criminals? Decades of failed government policy have flooded Melbourne with the youngest, most violent criminal class in history. People are not only overtaxed, they are generally frightened. This is true. I am both overtaxed and genuinely frightened for the safety of my family. And while the Lord Mayor of Melbourne dallies around like a French aristocrat planning a 6-season calendar, oh my God, I'm going to have to talk about that at some point too. The Mayor of Melbourne has decided that he wants to change the seasons calendar from autumn, spring, summer and winter to match Indigenous Australia that has a 6-season calendar, apparently. Now, I get that Melbourne's reasonably famous for saying, oh, you can experience 4 seasons in one day. Do I really have to go through 6 seasons in one day now too? What am I, a 50-year-old woman having hot flushes? These people are insane. No offense, ladies. Need to take the money out of politics. Running for office is financially prohibitive to people who actually want to fix things and don't want to take lobbyist money. Wholeheartedly agree with you on that. I have said it once, I will say it again. There should not be any such thing as a career politician, and no politician should gain any sort of monetary value beyond the median wage of the individuals in their electorate. Where was I? Swans around like an aristocrat planning a 6-season calendar while draped in robes and chains of colonial glory. An impenetrable red wall of Labor, the Greens, and the Animal Justice Party, have voted down David Limbrick's motion. They are happy for the victims of crime to risk becoming criminals for the simple act of defending themselves. Libertarians' request was straightforward. Mr. Limbrick asked the House to note that there has been a steady increase in aggravated burglary, something that Labor Party was never going to agree to because that would make them look bad, to actually say, oh yes, there is definitely an increase in crime. The Victorians were seeking clarity in self-defense and that the law had not been reviewed since 2012, long before the crime wave began, 13 years ago. Pray tell, what started around 12, 13 years ago that might have some sort of impact on the current state of affairs? When did we have sudden population booms? And how did that happen? Where did it come from? Kind of trying to remember now. He then called on the Attorney General too, and this is the actual wording out of the motion. Request that the Victorian Law for Reform Commission review the operation and sustainability of self-defense laws in Victoria. In particular, the application of self-defense laws to protect people in their own homes, including under the Crimes Act 1958, the Jury Directions Act 2015, the Evidence Act 2008, and the Sentencing Act of 1992, and consider the approach of self-defense laws in the United Kingdom, including Section 76 of the Criminal Justice and Immigration Act 2008. It is horrifying to think that the UK has better self-defense laws than we do. With all the shit that's going on, with the way that Keir Starmer is acting in Britain, it is horrifying to think that they have a better set of laws than we do when it comes to protecting oneself and one's property. That is horrifying. Limbrick was perfectly reasonable in the reasoning for bringing the motion. He then went through a series of real-world scenarios from people who had been caught up in an unnecessary dilemma. I won't read through all this bit because that's what we watched in the video already. If the government is not on the side of the citizen being attacked and robbed, whose side are they on? That is the question for 18 members of Labor, the Greens, and the Animal Justice Party who voted down the motion. This is where I start losing my shit. You thought I was pissed off before? Wait until you hear the absolute slop that comes out of these people's mouths now. Labor MP Jacinta Ermacora said, I've enjoyed lending my mind to the dilemmas of this issue. Get wrecked. The first thing to say is that the government does not support the motion, and my first reaction is to think about the safety of anybody involved in some kind of altercation or home invasion or in a circumstance where they protect their own property. I can appreciate that that is an awful dilemma in trying to strike the right balance between people's rights to defend their property or people's rights to be safe in their own home in the context of a crime being underway. No, there's no real dilemma there. It's pretty fucking straightforward. If someone has to take a positive action against another person in order to protect the sanctity of their own home, there's no dilemma there. I would like to acknowledge the motion, and it is a very interesting space. But I'm going to vote against the motion anyway. She went on to add, I know that the motto in my family is no property is worth your life or serious injury. No. Like I said, if someone breaks into my house, they have already decided that their life is worth less than my property or the safety and well-being of my family. I could not wrap my head around how someone would say, oh, no, you know what, it's not worth confronting somebody over material goods or anything like that because they've broken into my house. What might they do to me? It's literally this woman is saying you should retreat, you should hide, you should not have any sort of interaction with people breaking into your house for fear of your and their safety. Like, the next part of her comment I could barely believe. Miss Irma Cora accused the UK's castle doctrine of sexist language. They're more worried about the word he or her in a piece of legislation than protecting people's goddamn rights and safety. She said, but I must say, as an aside, I was a bit shocked to note that the UK laws have not been automatically rewritten to eradicate the exclusion of women via sexist language. Just as an example, the defense will be available to a person if he honestly believed it was necessary to use force and if the degree of force used was not disproportionate in the circumstances that he viewed them. Turning into the scene from Liar Liar where the secretary talks about a friend being broken into and the robber hurting himself in the house. In Victoria, that would mean that the law does not apply to me. Bullshit. But does apply to men because we have changed our legislation to eradicate all of that language. That is certainly an aside. No shit that it's an aside. It is a irrelevant tangent that you just felt the need to bring up to feel superior about everything going on. Rather than doing your goddamn job and protecting the population, you're bitching about, oh, the UK still uses he instead of they. How do people vote for you? Seriously. Work my ass off for my property and too much blood, sweat and tears given to gain what I have. Gonna fight to take it. You're gonna be a fight to take it from me. It's really fucking straightforward. I don't understand this. I wonder if the Victorian Labor Party could ask themselves a simple question. Are women more worried about the use of the word he in a piece of legislation that they'll never read, or their ability to legally defend their property and persons from criminals? Then you had Liberal MP Trung Lu, who did much better. People are scared for their safety, scared for their family's safety, and scared about the impact that these crimes have on their community's reputation. People are fearful of the possibility of legal action, both civil and criminal, if they react to an intruder in their home. That's because the current self-defense law of the Crimes Act 1958 does not fully address the individual protections against criminal and civil action, especially when you're looking at the Crimes Act under Section 322N, which has the abolition of self-defense at common law. Section 322N, you know what? No, let me bring it up. Crimes Act, Section 322N. Fairly straightforward, fairly self-explanatory. Self-defense at common law is abolished. Doesn't matter what rules were made up in terms of case law and all that sort of stuff, it's completely out the window. And it is purely just under the Crimes Act and the other acts as to what constitutes self-defense. There's no grey area, it's black and white in the legislation. would be a nice thing to say. The fact that Section 322K of the Crimes Act leaves self-defense open to the possibility of litigation if one chooses to act against a threat, because the point of proof is subject to a person's interpretation when it comes to conduct and a person's response in the circumstances as a person perceives the threat coming towards him or her. Then the person also needs to prove that there is an imminent threat and that the force applied is reasonable and proportionate to the threat. How can the average person comprehend all of that stuff in a split second? They can't. That's what it boils down to. You can't. It then added, a victim should not have to second guess their actions or conduct against an intruder who breaks into their home. And then he goes on to point out that the victim has no way to assess the actual threat. Is it a kid looking for car keys, or is it someone on intent on murder? That's what I was saying before. How the hell am I supposed to know what the intent is of someone that breaks into my house at 2 a.m? If they break in and they're carrying weapons, how do I know that they're just there to steal, to steal stuff? How do I know that they're not there to cave my skull in? Head of courts to find what a woman is over here with, get with the times the rest of the world. To be fair, Coke Ferry, that's basically what's going on in the federal court right at the second as well. I did not have time to finish recording and editing my video on Tickle v Giggle. It'll be out Sunday, Monday. Sunday US time, Monday morning Australian time. But that's basically what they're doing right now, is arguing what is a woman, and they've gone in the opposite direction for the most part. The original case was settled, the original case was adjudged in 2024. They're currently having a full federal court appeal, but from the sounds of it, one of the judges is very much going to be, you know, is Sky News AU copyright happy, or can you play news reports from them? No, I can, except that if you go and read the comments on most of a good number of comments on my video on the digital ID stuff, you would not believe the smooth-brained comments that I got because I used a clip from Sky News. Oh, well, you made some really good points, but you went and used a clip from Sky News, so I'm completely disregarding everything you said in your video because you used an untrustworthy source. Yeah, okay, fine. Plenty of people use Fox News and shit like that. What's your point? Like, I don't generally watch Sky News, but when they make a point, they make a fucking point. I don't really care if you consider them to be racist, white-pushing scumbags or whatever else you want to call them. You can't dismiss information because you dislike the source. I mean, the ABC is incredibly biased towards the left. 7 News, 9 News, they all have their own inherent biases. At least Sky News wears it on their basically wears it as a badge of honor. Sorry, it's been a while since I've talked like this. It's hurting my throat a little bit. That's what she said. And he goes on to point out the victim has no way to assess. There are news headlines after news headlines of intruders smashing their way into people's homes, stealing their belongings and cars, yet threatening that they are going to kill the victim while waving a weapon such as a machete. And then it was the turn of the Greens MP, Catherine Copsey. The Greens will not be supporting this motion, she began, before going on to quote the crime statistics, calling the situation complex. Victoria already has clear modern statutory tests for self-defence. The Greens' Justice Platform prioritises investing in prevention and evidence over the theatre of law and order. I'm sorry, what? What? Can you run that one by me again? The theatre of law and order. So arresting someone for breaking into someone's house and threatening them with a big-ass knife and then taking them through the court system. That's theatre to you? You need your head read, love. The Greens support investing in what actually reduces crime. Stable housing, youth services, mental health and drug treatment, and community-led justice reinvestment. None of which is going to work with the demographics that are committing these crimes. Say what you will, but Trump stopped the shit like this from stop Trump shit like this from happening in America. Look, you don't have to like Trump to like some of the things that he's done. Guess what else reduces crime? Increasing the personal risk to criminals instead of treating them like the victims that just need a few more cuddles and generosity from the taxpayer. I cannot agree with that statement more. The very fact that people are continuing to push this crime is going to continue to increase until the people committing the crimes understand that there are consequences for their actions. Which I'm sorry, but right now there aren't any. Jacinta Allen can go on about, oh, we're beefing up our laws in terms of bail and this machete ban and a few other things, changing how bail's calculated and who gets remanded and who doesn't. Sweetheart, it's too little too late for you to try that platform. It really is. You have people going out of their way to not only commit serious, heinous crimes, but then when they're released on full probation, you've got them going home to their, as far as I'm aware, allegedly stolen computer and making a diss track about the state of our judicial system and basically taking the piss out of the fact that they've been released and posting that online. What's the point if there is no fear of consequences to the judicial system? Holding people from vastly different cultures to our standards and accountability is racist, don't you know that? Who said anything about race? I didn't say anything. Fear thrives when the public conversation is reduced to slogans. Then it was the turn of Labor MP Ryan Batchelor. It took Mr. Batchelor a while to get through his congratulations to the Labor government, but when he did, he settled on the slogan, "The government is of the view that our self-defense laws are proportionate and well established." He then returned to congratulating the government. Oh, excuse me. I shall pull out an example from the Animal Justice Party Member for Parliament, Georgie Purcell. Hers might be the most ridiculous of all. I cannot support something that shifts the burden of safety from the community onto individuals and certain residents. I'm sorry, what the fuck are you smoking? Because proposals like this can send a message to the community that to take the law into your own hands is acceptable public policy response. You know what, Georgie? It is. Someone breaks into my house and threatens my family, I can promise you taking the law into my own hands is acceptable policy. It might not be your public policy, but I can guarantee that there would be a good segment of society that would consider it a public policy. Taking the law in your own hands. And that is a recipe for the escalation of violence in my circumstances and not one of safety, which is what we are striving for. We should be careful about reforms that normalize taking violent action in the name of defense. Well, the best defense is a good offense. I don't really care what you have to say. And that really about covers it for me, if I'm perfectly honest. I'm not sure how Ms. Purcell got confused, but let's try to clarify. Arriving at someone's house with the purpose of dishing out revenge for a grievance is taking the law into your own hands. Beating the crap out of someone trying to rob your home and threaten your family is self-defense. It's a big difference in concept. There also seems to be a genuine belief from left-wing women replying to this that they would not like to be in the position to defend themselves. This is bizarre. Clarifying the extent of your self-defense rights does not imply that you must defend yourself. There is no suggestion from the law or Mr. Limbrick that you cannot simply run away. I personally don't want to be in a position where I'm having to defend myself like that because I would not have the confidence that I would be able to maintain it and defend myself properly. That would probably get me in the end, said Labor MP Sonia Terpstra. Yeah, this isn't about the individuals that can't defend themselves. It's about the individuals that can. And then we have this pure nonsense from Labor MP Sheena Watt, who appeared to forget what the topic was. We've launched statewide electronic monitoring for youth offenders to ensure compliance with bail conditions and deter further offending. It is why we are bringing in reforms to stamp out racism, discrimination, hate, and protect minorities and vulnerable groups in the community. You see what happens when they don't have a independent thought in their head, and they have the party policy stamped basically across their forehead, and they're just reading it in the mirror. Like, what the fuck does that have to do with anything? The individuals who can't don't want to feel inferior, so they have to outlaw it for everyone. Safety, whose safety? The criminals, the homeowner should never have to flee their home for safety. What a crock of shit, exactly. We've seen that some of the most heinous acts of racial vilification in Australia's history have happened recently right here, with neo-Nazis staging demonstrations around a city and spreading their hateful messages. The fuck do neo-Nazis have to do with defending someone's home? And, you know, if we're going to make completely wild statements about that, how about we go back to the footage from like 2-3 weeks ago where a bunch of people were standing around a Catholic church? Some people may have found that intimidating. So retarded, the people who can't defend themselves will be gotten away with or without these charges. These people are smooth brain who clearly can't understand hypotheticals. Yep. So I was really pleased to see decisive action against this sort of hate and all things that we're doing to protect people from being targeted by these groups, because Victorians deserve to feel safe in their own state wherever they are. I would just say and reaffirm that racially motivated crimes committed by these really vile individuals absolutely will not be tolerated in our state. That's got nothing to fucking do with the circumstances. Well, what the heck does any of that rant have to do with Victorians defending themselves? It's a mindless ideological rant. What a worthless contribution to public debate and a waste of everyone's time. After it was pointed out that she was shouting at the sky, she replied, "Yes, I accept that people have been threatened in their homes, and I am also saying that Nazis have threatened to violently hurt people of colour." Good luck, Victoria. The motion failed 18-17. All it would have taken was one half-decent person to put that motion through. And then they go through on list. And to be fair, these are just the assholes that decided to show up. Don't care what race or gender you are, if you break into my home, I'll defend myself. As well you should, Deanna. That's not legal advice. That is my own personal opinion. Who's discussing race? I'm just discussing home invaders. They can be green with purple polka dots for all I care. Exactly. So now it's racist if you want to defend your home. I think the problem is that this chick sort of jumped to the conclusion that people were talking about, oh, I don't know, certain groups breaking into homes. I think she maybe forgot that she's not supposed to be drawing attention to that. Maybe. I don't know. So. Love how the first thing the lefties are concerned about is skin colour. The mantra of minorities and less fortunate cannot commit crimes, so we can't disparage them. Needs to fucking stop. Yes, you're racist for wanting to defend your home because the demographics involved in the home invasion. So honestly, that was that was just one thing that really fucking irritated me. Breaking into my home, lols is all I'll say. Yep. Yeah, because she's a racist dumbass. Certainly comes across like that. So then we've got this shit. Oh, hang on.
Be very clear about something. Trans kids are 15 times more likely to self-harm.
Transgender kids are 15 times more likely
To
kill themselves.
Be very clear.
All right. Okay. So this guy here is Daniel Andrews. He was our former premier, our former governor. He's the one that she superseded. Now, there was a big kerfuffle in the news about the Respectful Relationships program released here in Victoria, which basically means that you've got it embedded in the public school curriculum that kids as young as 5 are going to be spoken to either by their teachers or by educators about how their genitals may not match their gender. I'm sorry, what? You start talking to my 6-year-old about penises and vaginas, you and I are throwing hands. Oh, thank you, Vareth. But basically, this is a context clip because I'm going to play what happened at a press conference, and I haven't been able to find the entire thing, mainly because I haven't really looked very hard. But just it's important for you to see this particular part before I play the other part.
Be very clear about something. Trans kids are 15 times more likely to self-harm.
Transgender kids are 15 times more likely to kill themselves.
Be very clear.
Okay, the statistic is 15 times more likely to attempt, not actually kill, but, hang on. So this was a response that she gave to a reporter who was questioning what's going on with the whole, is the sound low? All right, I'll see if I can boost it. With the Respectful Relationships program. The reporter asked, how do you comment on this and the fact that 5-year-olds are supposed to be having these conversations with people? And that it's effectively going to create... Admittedly, look, the reporter said, hey, don't you think that this is a problem because this is going to create pipelines where kids are going to be maybe don't genuinely have gender dysphoria, but they're going to be influenced into thinking that they do, and therefore go from these classes to the school affirming that they may not be the correct gender, generally without the parents' knowledge or consent, and then they wind up in the whole puberty block or whatever else. I didn't hear the entire question, but it's more just this woman irritates the fuck out of me, and the way that she responded to this is disgusting.
The CAS review in the UK.
Which review?
The CAS review was one of the most, renowned reviews.
Doesn't even want to talk about it because it's a scientific review that basically rebuts everything that they're talking about and pushing on kids.
There are out there, most well talked about. One of those things was, there was evidence-based.
There's a difference between well-renowned and talked about, Carly, but anyway.
You know what? There's a difference between being a good premier and, being self-serving and annoying.
It was, obviously it was a very thorough review. Obviously, part of that was that it concluded the evidence base for gender-affirming medical interventions like puberty blockers and prostate.
She doesn't even want to listen to it. Look at how she's acting, and just
hormones is remarkably weak. Why is Victoria persisting with this sort of gender-affirming care? A study like that has come to that conclusion.
Carly, perhaps I was not clear enough in my previous answer. I'll repeat again. Transgender kids are 15 times more likely to kill themselves.
No, 15 times more likely to attempt. And I was talking to Lady Overlaw'd about this today, you know. There's a good chance that a reason for that is because we are so fucking overtaxed. We are forced to have both parents in the workforce, because I'm pretty sure that, you know, if you had a stay-at-home parent that was actually able to look after the kids, they'd probably pick up on a lot of the flags a lot sooner, and the kids would actually be able to look after. Just saying.
So whether it's across our schooling system or across our health system, supporting those kids and supporting those families should be a priority, because it's the right thing to do. What's not right is this ongoing campaign to tear down programs that are about strengthening kids' resilience. It's about preventing bullying. It's about protecting kids against future harm. That's what needs to stop.
What a crock of shit. I have said it time and again. There are instances where there may be legitimate gender dysphoria amongst kids. But as I've said the entire way through, you can do whatever you want. You can do what you want when you're over the age of 18. When, I don't know, your brains are as close to maturity as possible. But like I said before, you start talking to my 6-year-old daughter about penises and vaginas without my approval and consent, you better fucking believe we've got issues. Wanted to be a Ninja Turtle as a kid. Kids don't know any better. Scarlett wanted to be a fucking fire truck not 2 years ago. She has no idea what she wants to grow up to be. I'm trying to find the actual news article about it. But, you know, surprise, surprise, again, the only people actually covering this are fucking Sky News, and I'm going to get lambasted for that, so I'm trying to find one of the other news articles. Oh, it's funny, because when you actually... hopefully the Australian's been saved. I'm so sick and tired of all these news articles being put behind paywalls. I really fucking am. Wanted to be Guyver when I was a kid, so did I. Wanted to be a YouTuber, then I'm an Australian one. I realised I'm fucked. Well, you were fucked long before you met me. Did you discuss this in passing with your rural clients at work? I'm curious if they actually follow the recommendations spewing out of Melbourne. As far as I'm aware, no. They don't really tolerate this sort of bullshit. But you got to remember, where I work is a very staunchly conservative political climate. The guy that runs in the federal area for where we are, Dan Tehan, he has been in the he's been in the federal parliament for like 15 years. He has never lost his seat, as far as I'm aware. So it's very much if that's on way back or not. Forced to tolerate losing. Most of the people I chatted followed people I admired, thought they were smart, felt singled out and hunted down. Jesus, Jude, are you okay? Grew up in Yahoo chat rooms. I'm so fucked. Oh, damn it. The Australian isn't even archived. What about that one? Oh, come on. Really? I'm not paying for the Australian. I'm not. Apparently the Australian isn't worth people going through and archiving. Don't worry about the platform, Jacinda's mouth is the actual source. Can't get any closer than that. Oh. screw it. Given it's the only place talking about it, if people have an issue with it, they can go and get nicked. Clearly, I'm not the appropriate platform for them if they've got an issue with me watching a clip on this.
I believe you're referring to some reports in The Australian that go to the hugely important Respect for Relationships program that we support across our schools, and indeed in response to the ongoing perpetration of violence against women, we have expanded the Respect for Relationships program in response to the ongoing rise of the number of kids who are bullied. And bullying of kids causes such harm.
Notice how they've jumped 3 different topics there? From gender dysphoria to violence against women to bullying of kids. Is there any, like, hot button issue there in terms of, like, in terms of schooling and stuff like that you can't just... I mean, is this just a shotgun approach or what?
Onto those kids and keeps parents awake at night. Now, I have seen firsthand how...
Like, I'm sorry. Over different years, my daughter has been bullied at school. I still don't want you talking to her about willies and vajayjays. The fuck's that got to do with any of it?
Important the Respect for Relationships program is because it's in my kids' school. And so, yes, I back the Respect for Relationships program and the curriculum that is all about protecting kids, strengthening resilience of kids, and supporting kids to be who they are across our schools, to help other kids understand why respecting difference is so important. So this ongoing campaign against the Respect for Relationships by The Australian speaks about, does not recognise the transformative difference this program is making.
Sorry, I needed a break to listen to this woman talk. It's like nails on a chalkboard for me. It's a needle into the fucking brain. I'm horrified to think that I used to live in this woman's constituency, honestly.
In every single day in schools.
So it's something good to know that there are some parents of children who do identify as transgender or non-binary that feel like that there's a school...
The fucking reaction.
The clinic pipeline, what would you say to those?
That's just nonsense. It's disgraceful nonsense. Like, seriously. This sort of ongoing attack on a program that is making a difference in kids' lives just should be stopped. It should be stopped. It's disgraceful reporting. It's hurtful. When you consider...
Oh, yeah, that's right. Sorry, I completely forgot. Then she went on to say, oh, yes, we should be curtailing what the media report on as well.
The incidents that transgender kids are 15 times more likely to kill themselves.
Again, no.
We should be supporting them. We should be supporting them across our schools, across our society, across our community. The Australia needs to stop this ongoing campaign because it's hurtful and harmful.
Just one last one on this one, just the CAS review in the UK.
Which review?
The CAS review.
Yep.
One of the most, I guess, renowned reviews there are out there, or most well talked about. One of those things was, there was evidence-based.
There's a difference between well-renowned and talked about, Carly, but anyway.
Well,
The CAS Review, an independent review by the National Health Service Gender Identity Services for Children and Young People, which was published in April of 2024. It was commissioned in 2020 by the National Health Service England due to concerns about long waiting lists, increasing referrals, and the shift towards early medical interventions of gender dysphoria. The review's final report calls for sweeping changes on how the NHS provides care, particularly regarding the use of puberty blockers and cross-sex hormones. The review found that there was not enough evidence to support the current practices of using puberty blockers and cross-sex hormones, particularly in the long term. It recommended that puberty blockers be restricted to ethics-approved research trials And the review advises extreme caution when using cross-sex hormones for individuals between the ages of 16 and 18, requiring approval from an independent expert panel. Like I said, once you're over the age of 18, you can do whatever you want. The CAS review has significantly influenced the discussion about gender-affirming care for young people in the UK and beyond. National Health Service England is committed to implementing the recommendations and developing an implementation program. The review has sparked debate and discussion in Australia with calls for similar reviews of Australian gender services. Some organisations and individuals have criticised the review for its methodology, as if they're not going to. It's a review. Who is not going to question methodology of various things? Concerns have also been raised about the potential impact of the review on access to care for young people who are transgender or gender diverse. So it was literally something done over the course of 4 years, led by Hilary Cass, a retired consultant paediatrician and former president of the Royal College of Paediatricians and Children's Health. Final report was published on the 10th of April 2024. The review made 32 recommendations across all aspects of service provision, which were largely welcomed by the UK medical organisations, though some noted criticism of the review and called for consideration. But, you know, UK's actively implementing this. Wanted to be a Jedi when I was 8, no one gave me a lightsaber. Oh, really?
It was, obviously it was a very thorough review.
The dismissive attitude. Oh, I don't agree with it, so I'm not even going to bother giving you the time of day. I'm not paying attention to whatever you're saying. Well, she really clearly isn't.
Obviously, you know, part of that was that it included the evidence base for gender-affirming medical interventions like puberty blockers and cross-sex hormones is remarkably weak. Why is Victoria persisting with this sort of gender-affirming care as a study like that has come to that conclusion?
Carly, perhaps I was not clear enough in my previous answer.
Bitch literally just said, per my previous email.
I'll repeat again. Transgender kids are 15 times more likely to kill themselves. So whether it's across our schooling system or across our health system, supporting those kids and supporting those families should be a priority because it's...
You'd think she was a Greens, wouldn't you, Carlos? But no, she's just... To be fair, Labor seems that far left-wing that the Greens are telling them to pull back on certain things, which is hilarious to me. The Greens are our uber left-wing, but Labor's really giving them a run for their money at this point. Want to get the sabers from Theory Sabers? What did I get? Well, oh, yeah, it doesn't matter.
The right thing to do. What's not right? What's not right is this ongoing campaign to tear down programs that are about strengthening kids' resilience. It's about preventing bullying. It's about protecting kids against future harm. That's what needs to...
All of which can be done without talking about penises and vaginas. You know? How do the parties break down in Australia? Okay, well... Excuse me, sorry. The parties break down here in Australia in a very weird way because, and that's why I've always got to remind people overseas that our Liberal Party is quite literally our Conservative Party, and it makes things very difficult. In the centre, we've got, well, centrists, obviously. To the left, and when I say to the left, I mean very slightly to the left, we've got our Conservative Party, because I'm sorry, the Liberal Party can call themselves right-wing as much as they want. At this point, they're Labor light. We effectively have a uni-party here in Australia now. On the far side of the left, we've got Labor. Now, ordinarily, you'd have the Greens a far bit further on than that, but at the moment, Labor's really pushing that way. on the other side of the spectrum, right at the other end of the right, we've got the Katter Party, we've got One Nation. I'm not quite sure where you'd put the Libertarian Party in amongst there, but it's very, heaven forbid you get feelings hurt and someone breaks into your house and beats you black and blue. Before, when a kid thought he was a wombat, we gave him a mirror and told him to sort it out. Now we get to give him a picture of a wombat and tell him it's a mirror. Yeah, pretty much covers it. Future harm. She wants to prevent a child from experiencing the world that's going to eat them alive. For fuck's sake, she's a horrible human being. I'm not disagreeing. Honestly, I very much don't think much of Jacinta Allen. Personally, for me, as I said, her reaction when the daycare scandal hit, even a blind guy could see that she was faking empathy. And honestly, it disgusted me and Lady Overlaw'd to our cause. I cannot emphasize how much I detest that woman. And the hilarious thing is that Lady Overlaw'd, who would struggle to hurt a fly, is so more pissed off with her than I am. And I think that's the mama bear coming out to play. Because Lady Overlaw'd very much holds Jacinta Allen as at least partially responsible for what happened to our little girl. Even in a very roundabout way. So. Oh, hang on, where are we? Sorry, that's one thing. Nope. 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 Oh, no, that's not the right one. Sorry, wrong one.
Boys have a penis, girls have a vagina.
So, anyway. Where do we get to? Where is... we got to talk about the machete boxes. We'll come full circle and then I'll go and get some sleep because I get up early in the morning. So for those of you that missed it, Jacinta Allen, the lovely lady that we just saw spruiking respectful relationships for 5-year-olds, in order to be seen to be doing something about crime, they basically decided to waste $13 million on amnesty bins so people could hand in their machetes. Now, I did talk about this very briefly at the start, but I thought we should actually dig into this because it sort of ties into the other reason why this woman has pissed me off so much. Put that one over there so that I've got that ready to go. I'll take that because I think that's funny. Damn it, I really wish you could... oh, that's what I can do. I can just copy and paste the link and then use that in a new tab. So easy to be a streamer. I swear to God. Where's the news article about it? Oh, maybe if I go machete bins, might be a little bit better for me. Nope, that's the footage from tonight. Where the fuck are they gone? Alright, sorry, I know this is nice and great coverage of stuff, but, you know, screw it. It's been a little while. Oh, that's why I couldn't find it, because it was like 2 weeks ago. Easy. So these are the bins that, 40 of them supposedly cost $13 million. The Victorian government's unveiled a machete amnesty ahead of its statewide ban that's coming in September. The ban, initially announced at the start of the month, will make owning, carrying or buying a machete without a valid permit a criminal offence in Australia. Literally, oi mate, you got a licence for that knife? The maximum penalty for those found guilty will be 2 years imprisonment or a fine of more than $47,000. As if they're going to give a flying fuck about that. Victorians will be able to dispose their machetes in one of 40 safety bins located around the state at various police stations. The amnesty period will run from September 1st through to November 30, and people will be able to hand in the machete during the time without penalty. These knives destroy lives, so we're taking them off the streets, said Jacinta Allen. Yeah, you keep telling yourself that. Victorians have zero tolerance for knife crime. I got zero tolerance for you. And so do we. We're enacting this ban and boosting Victoria's police powers because community safety comes first. And yet you won't review self-defense laws. I'm sorry, what?
Police stations across Victoria will become machete drop-off points as part of a 3-month amnesty.
Oh, son of a bitch. Video pen fails.
Police stations across Victoria will become machete drop-off points as part of a 3-month amnesty. But as Ollie Haig reports, there's concern the location will deter young offenders from surrendering their weapons.
Outside the Victoria Police headquarters on Spencer Street, a purpose-built bin for a weapon.
That's literally the headquarters. It is a fucking 30, 40-story building that has cops going in and out of it at every hour of the day. But yeah, sure, people are just going to walk right up to it with massive-ass fucking knives with the bin out the front door in order to drop them off. What a fucking joke.
Wreaking havoc.
This is very important. Those knives, those machetes, create enormous damage.
Come September 1, it will be illegal to own a machete, and this is where Victorians are being asked to drop them off.
That's it. That's literally the front fucking door. I know, because Lady Overlaw'd and I went there to take Scarlett for an interview. That is quite literally the front fucking door of the cop shop. And it's not as if it's easy to access that. You would literally have to walk across, 40, 50 feet, 30, 40 meters of, pavement. It is you know what? No, fuck it. I am going to go to the Google Street View so you can see exactly where the fuck this is and why it's so insane. Police Plaza there. How do I gotta drop and drag the man, don't I? Okay. So this right here, okay, this bin here is right there. That's the Police Plaza building. And the bin is right fucking there. Do you understand how insane that is for me to think that that's what the fuck they're doing? That's the wooden bench there, which is the wooden bench that's right there. You can't really see it, sorry, it's right there. So the bin is quite literally there where that white glass window is. Who the fuck is walking from the corner of the street through this area, past the coffee shop where a bunch of cops are always sitting, drinking their coffee and eating their donuts, All of this has like police line on the floor, and that blue sign there is the door to enter the building, and it's a reception desk with cops sitting there. Who the fuck is walking right up to that to drop a machete into it?
During an amnesty period that will run until November 30.
We've done this because we want to get these knives off the streets because
No, you
these
haven't.
knives just...
You haven't done this because of that. You have done that to make it look like you are doing something. It is to be seen to be doing something while not actually doing anything. That's all it is, and it's a fucking waste of money.
destroy lives.
The bins will be at major country police stations across Victoria, from Warrnambool in the west to Mildura in the north, Geelong, Wangaratta, Wodonga, Sale and Warragul in the state's east. The others will be placed throughout metropolitan Melbourne and the suburbs, from Werribee to Broadmeadows, the CBD, Heidelberg, Mill Park, Dandenong and Moorabbin, and the Mornington Peninsula.
What are the protections they're putting in place for these bins? There's a lot of questions I think the government needs to answer.
The Premier is still of the belief having these bins placed at 24-hour police stations won't deter youth offenders from handing in their weapons.
Bullshit. Bullshit. Like, there's no fucking way that these bins are going to get used. Not to the extent that they're thinking they're going to. Excuse me. And I love Jacinta Allen's biggest part to this. She was like, "Oh well, we're really reaching out and we're reaching out to the parents of these kids, the ones that are using the machetes. We want the parents to take the knives off the kids and, or better yet, take the kids to the police station and have them dropped off and have them drop them off in the bins." Well, yeah, but Mum, you can take me to go and drop this machete off, but what about the cameras? What if they recognize me from a crime I've committed? Like, there might be some machetes dropped off. There might be some. More than likely by individuals that have been paid to have machetes dropped off, so that at least looks like something's being used. So that it looks like they're being used. But I call bullshit.
Weapons. She's instead pointed to the hefty penalty they face if they're caught with a machete. They include fines of up to $47,000 or 2 years jail.
This is the safest and most secure way of getting these dangerous weapons off the street.
Is to ask people to voluntarily give them up. Is it just me? Or is the world on fire?
What I think is happening is we're creating another barrier, you know, or a reason for a kid to say, no, I'm not going to do that.
Early intervention groups say incentives should also be on the table.
What we're talking about is things like movie tickets, tickets to the footy or the basketball, the netball.
Ollie Haig, 9 News.
Okay. Wait, I'm sorry, what? Childcare chain sends debt collectors after mum whose child was assaulted in their centre.
Everyone agrees.
Fuck off, what? Childcare Edge Early Learning is under further scrutiny after sending debt collectors into the mother of a toddler who was assaulted at one of their centres. Childcare chain had failed to notify parents of 2 small children who were assaulted by a former employee in Brisbane in late 2023. Riley was convicted of 1 count of assault, occasionally bodily harm, and sentenced to 9 months probation in the magistrate's court this week. She was acquitted of the second charge because only one of the children had photographic evidence of the injuries caused by the assaults, which were witnessed by fellow educators. The mother of one victim, a 3-year-old girl who cannot be identified, told the Current Affair that she withdrew her child from the centre after being informed of the assault by a Queensland police detective. Decided the best thing was for me to take my child out of the centre. I didn't want to drop her off kicking and screaming anymore, so I pulled her out. She provided emails showing that Edge had since had debt collectors pursuing her for $3,000 in unpaid fees. Are you fucking insane? You're vicariously liable for the actions of your employee in assaulting children, and you decide to send debt collectors after one of the parents? Over $3 grand? Are you fucking kidding me? What is netball? It's a sport. Generally, think like basketball, but ironically without a net. Lady Overlaw'd used to play it. A lot of the times it'll go hand in hand with the local AFL league. So, Edge, a for-profit childcare chain owned by private equity firms, only cancelled the debt collection process after being contacted by a current affair this week. Spokesperson for Edge said the company understands the circumstances are sensitive and the collection process has been cancelled. The collection process should never have come anywhere near that. Are you fucking kidding me? Bloody hell. Anyway, sorry for that quick, sorry for that minor detour, because I want to get back to talking about the damn bins. Because where are we? Here. I did like that. Labor MP amnesty disposal bin. But here's the thing. So, like I said, according to the Victorian government, each one of those amnesty bins is supposed to cost $325,000. And yet you can go direct to the manufacturer and buy a bin for $4,172. Where the fuck is that other $320,000 going? When the government commissions a machete bin that's pretty much just a charity donation bin, which, okay, to be fair, they might feel the need to have reinforced hinges or some shit on it so that, you know, people can't just break open the bin and get a bunch of machetes. Maybe. I don't know. I don't care. Because as far as I'm concerned, a charity donation bin would have worked just as well. When you buy one from the manufacturer, it costs $4,172, which of course includes the company's profit margin and GST. Typical government expenditure. Why do we, the taxpayers, accept this? Deduct the GST and margin, the machete bin costs 100 times what it should. Like, I'm sorry. No, reinforced hinges are not going to be an additional $300,000. I agree. No, there would have been consultants. There would have been consultation fees from the companies. There would have been any number of things, honestly. UK launches undercover operation to crack down on catcalling. Oh god, you actually did send me that. Thank you. That's an expensive paint job. Sure as shit looks like it. It's only a 4-minute, 20-minute runtime. Well, hey, I mean, if it's 4:20, screw it. I've got the 5 minutes. Sorry, I was just reading a message. I do have an upcoming collaboration with another LawTuber, so keep an eye out for that, people. I think you're going to enjoy it.
Let's go to the UK where...
Oh, right, I forgot this was about Sky News. Never mind, we'll watch it anyway. Oh, God, it's Caleb Breen. Oh, man. You know I hate this guy. Mostly because he reminds me of myself.
Police in Surrey have decided to crack down on men wolf whistling and catcalling young women going out for a run. Now, it's not illegal to catcall a woman, but it is unsavoury. And police have decided that these sorts of things could lead to crime. So they're going to start policing non-crimes in a bid to stop actual crimes. Here's what's going on. Have a look.
These women aren't friends out for a run. They're actually undercover police officers taking to the streets in Surrey as part of a new operation trying to stop people catcalling and harassing female runners.
We get honked at, the staring, the hanging out of the window just to look at us, and it's so prevalent.
Police teams are ready to intervene the moment the officers are beeped at, followed or shouted at.
What a fucking waste of police resources. God forbid that a woman should feel attractive because a man wolf whistles at her. Like, I'm sorry, ladies. Like, as bad as it sounds, it's male nature to objectify women because, you know, we find you attractive. We want to mate with you. It's basic biology. You can't tell me that there aren't women that drop their panties when they go to fucking Magic Mike or to a male strip club, things like that. Like, what a fucking waste of taxpayer money.
So this is really interesting, Freya. A lot of women are really happy about this. They say they're sick of being harassed. They want to be able to just jog. The way you're looking at me, I think you're going to disagree. A lot of women are very supportive of this.
Yeah.
But a lot of other people are arguing, come on, there's so much crime in the UK, maybe solve some actual crimes rather than concern yourself with things that aren't offences and aren't illegal and unsavoury but not illegal. What do you think?
Well, that's the thing. So when these undercover police catch people catcalling at them, what are they going to do? Go, oh, you naughty person, stop catcalling me. I mean...
That might just turn them on a bit, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, that's what they've done. They've gone and explained. And the other thing is people honking their horns at these women. And so police have intercepted them and explained this sort of behaviour is not cool.
I feel like anyone who is going out of their way to catcall a woman probably wouldn't be perturbed by a policeman giving them a warning not to catcall. I mean, clearly they don't care about social etiquette anyway. I don't think this is going to make much of a difference.
Oh, can you imagine all the tradie work sites that they're going to have to go and monitor now? I mean, once upon a time it was sort of a mark of, oh, wow, I look good today. They gave me a catcall. Of course, we've moved on from those times. But for goodness sake, do we really need to be...
What's next? Are the cops going to be watching me as we walk down the street and I slap my lady Overlaw'd on the ass? Oh, wait, no, then I'll get done for assault.
Putting police resources into it. And they've actually explained, the coppers over there, why they've done it. And it's not just because, it's an unsavoury thing to do. They are convinced that any bloke who catcalls a woman is a potential criminal who needs to be intercepted.
Those kind of behaviours may not be criminal offences in themselves, but they still need to be addressed. And of course, the people that are likely to commit those kind of behaviours, they may then go on to commit more serious offences or more serious behaviour.
Oh, fuck right off. Also, look at your haircut. Are you serious, dude? This timeline is kind of crazy. It's just... Holy shit. I'm trying to find the video so I can juxtapose this of the girl walking down and doing a TikTok saying, "No men will ever approach me. They don't tell me that I'm pretty. They don't want to date me." All this sort of. I fucking wonder why. You've literally got British cops turning around and having a chat because you do a wolf whistle at an attractive woman. And why the fuck do we allow this to even take place? The US needs to invade the UK and free the people. And can you start with Victoria first and then make your way? Just stop over on the way to England?
I mean, for goodness sake. The police in the UK are clearly on the offensive about offence at the moment. We've got to make sure women don't get offended by a catcall. We've got to make sure that shoplifters don't get offended by being called scumbags by a guy who's got a sign in his shop window, for goodness sake. And I read today a police chief in the UK saying that people need to take more responsibility for shoplifting, as in if you just see people shoplifting, you should do something about it.
Fuck that. It's generally store policy that the employees can't even do anything.
Don't just call the cops. And then you've got the cops running around saying you can't call them scumbags, though. I mean, what on earth has policing come to?
But they're also not dealing with the underlying problems, because if you were genuinely concerned about women's safety, about women being safe from sexual harassment, then why did the police and many councils not address grooming gangs?
Yeah.
Why is the government not addressing the fact that foreigners are 71% more likely to commit sexual crimes? People from Afghanistan are 20 times more likely than native Britons to commit sexual violence.
I fucking hated AP, I'll be honest. 9 times out of 10, I can't stand the drivel that comes out of Caleb's mouth, honestly. But then there's that 1 out of 10 time where it's like he and I are cut from the same cloth, quite literally, because all that's missing for me is the glasses. Like, but mind you, these guys, the three of them, this is Sky News Australia, so.
Islands. Same with people from Eritrea. If you know all these statistics, why aren't you dealing with the underlying drivers of a lot of these crimes, which are illegal migrants coming into the UK? I mean, that would seem like the obvious solution. Instead of wasting police resources getting to women to jog undercover, maybe just protect your borders.
Oh.
It's a bit close for call, isn't it? Thank you, Matt. We'll check back in with you soon. Well, every day we hear another story of a horror home invasion in Australia. And this morning, Victorians are fighting back with a new push to review.
They tried to. David Limbrick put that motion together and it got voted down, which is insane to me.
The state's self-defence laws. The review and possible overhaul seeks to allow residents to forcefully confront intruders without consequences. Aaron Monk has experienced the horror of a home invasion himself and joins us live now from Melbourne. Aaron, good morning to you and thank you for your time this morning. So your home in Melbourne's outer southeast was invaded last August. Talk to us about that awful ordeal.
So this guy is actually one of the 2 people that Limbrick was talking about during his motion put forward. This is the guy that had the baseball bat and had people break into his home, but he was worried about what would happen to him if he actually went through with protecting himself and his family. Nobody should have to fucking worry about that.
Yeah, so we woke up early hours.
Why didn't they show the security footage of the home invader's face? Because then they might actually have to get off their asses and do their job and try and find them. But yeah, probably for your reason too.
The morning, the wife got woken by our dog scratching at the door, which sort of made her look over to the door where we saw flashlights coming through. She then woke me up. At that point in time, I jumped out of bed with her and grabbed a baseball bat and sort of just ran out the door to sort of see what was there, not knowing what was on the other side. And yeah, we came face to face with someone standing in the kitchen sort of helping themselves to our items, and they ran out the door and we chased them.
It's incredibly terrifying, Aaron. I mean, the idea of chasing these attackers would terrify most people, right? They would try and avoid confrontation at all costs. What was it for you that made you want to chase after them and potentially risk your own life?
I think it was just anger. In those moments, it's fight or flight. You've got to protect your family. So
damn straight.
That was the sort of the moment it happened. We didn't really have an option. It was just get out there and get them out of our house. You should feel safe in your home, and yeah, we didn't really think about it. We just did it.
Do you think about the consequences? I mean, we know that there have been some awful examples of this going terribly wrong, like Dr. Ash Gordon, who was killed after chasing intruders from his Doncaster home. There are significant risks associated with that.
Oh, absolutely. You know, I look back at the night that it happened, or the morning that it happened, and I still think that if I did catch him, or you know, if we managed to hold him down, we certainly wouldn't have cuddled him and made him a coffee and waited for the police. I think we would have gone that next level, and the repercussions of doing something. Yeah, we certainly could have faced penalties or been in jail.
Yeah, the issue is
what we did.
Yeah, the issue is right that the governments right across the country, this time in Victoria, for example, as well as police, need to work harder to prevent these kinds.
You got to remember, Jim, that a lot of Australians have basically been cucked and pussified to the point where, yeah, they've basically been told don't do anything, or there's been enough fear mongering. I believe that, unfortunately, it's a legitimate thing. I genuinely believe that there is a good number of people that if their houses were broken into, they would just cower in fear and not know what to do or how to react. It's almost as if like the fight, flight, freeze or fawn has been re-engineered so that it's just freeze.
Kinds of home invasions from happening because they are on a regular basis. Victoria's self-defence laws currently allow for residents to use reasonable force. Do you think...
Yes, but again, reasonable force is so fucking vague that if you defend yourself... Because I'm sorry, If someone is coming towards you and... I mean, it's the same story as the one that I was talking about before, the US guy that was living next door to the old man here in Victoria. He saved the guy because the intruder had the old man up against the wall by the throat. He fought, the Marine fought with the intruder and supposedly put his thumb into the guy's eye to try and get him off and whatever else. And the guy had his hands around the Marine's throat. Like, I would think that for most people that probably would be quite alarming. For most people, that would be, oh, I don't know, fearing for your life. Reasonable force, what a slap in the face. Yep. But that's the vagueness that it comes down to. What it basically comes down to is that they consider that it has to be a fair fight for you to come out on top. Which I think is the biggest load of bullshit. Like, if someone comes into my house, I don't care if they're carrying a knife. I don't care. If they take a step towards my family, I consider that deadly intent, and I'm going to react as such.
They go far enough to protect homeowners from criminal charges?
Definitely not, no. So, look, at the moment we've got a legal system, not a justice system. So these intruders come in, they sort of know that they're being backed to the point where they won't get punished the way they should. So we need to give something back to the homeowner. We should be able to give that worry when they enter a house that they don't know what they're going into. Just give us an edge back. But at the moment, no, the system that's in place is just, it's not doing anything. It's increased.
Either that, grifter, or the warranty card for the products that they steal.
More than anything.
So this potential review will look at UK law, which allows residents to use potentially deadly force to defend themselves in some cases. Is that what's needed here, or does that go too far?
I think we need to go to that extent, yes. So if we keep doing what we're doing now, it's only going to get worse. I think the stats prove that it's only increasing.
Yeah.
And we need to do whatever we can, unless they change the other avenues, whether it's, you know, the bail laws are changing, but that's not until next month. The machete laws are changing as well, but they need to be firmer, and the repercussions, yeah, they need to be in place to give them that doubt when they go to the house that they're not going to...
It's not doubt that's needed, it's fear. I'm sorry, but that's the long and the short of it. There need to be fear of consequences for engaging in criminal activity, which there just isn't. Clearly. Either because it's been an imported problem where it's people that have come to Australia from places where there is absolutely no repercussions for engaging in criminal activity, or, you know, maybe it's just part of their culture, or part of their... Culture's probably not the right word to use there. Maybe it's part of everything that they've had to deal with in terms of their lifestyle. I'm thinking of certain dangerous countries that I would in no way, visit, really. But anyway.
Enter, because they don't know what's on the other side.
Yeah, it's pretty terrifying with all these home invasions on the rise. Thank you so much for your time this morning, Aaron. Appreciate it.
No problems.
Could not agree with Aaron more. For more on this, I'm joined by Senator James Patterson in Melbourne. Senator, good morning to you. Thanks for your time. These are your people. They've had enough, and understandably so.
I've watched this a couple of times, but that's like the first time that I noticed that. It jumps from what's clearly a Zoom call, presumably a pre-recorded image, to him outside in a park, presumably in Melbourne. How did I miss that the first time?
Absolutely, Carl. My heart goes out to Aaron and many others in Victoria who've experienced this shocking crime of a home invasion. You know, 5 or 10 years ago, this was relatively unheard of in Melbourne, but it's becoming increasingly frequent, particularly under the Allan Labor government, who've been soft on crime and particularly soft on youth offenders, letting them out on bail even after they commit horrific crimes on this. And what do they do when they're out? They go and commit other crimes like this again. We need those people to fear the consequences of their behaviour again.
Thank you.
We need them to be locked up and kept away when they commit crimes like this, so that homeowners don't have to go through what Aaron went through or contemplate having to defend themselves in a terrible situation like that.
Someone comes onto your property. I'm sorry, but I mean, I would have thought you have more rights than they do. Someone comes into your house threatens your family, how would you react?
Of course
well,
not, Carl.
I hope
Why
I'd
would they
react
have-
like any other
Why would you
homeowner
have
would
more
react, and I
rights?
try and defend my family and protect my family. And you should have more rights defending your own home than someone trying to break into your home and terrorise your family and steal your car or break in. But the truth is that most people are not in a position to do that. Not everyone is strong enough or able enough or fit enough. Think about it.
So why prevent the ones that can, though? Like, it's just stupidly insane.
An elderly couple, for example, they've got no business defending themselves against a youth offender. What we need to
What happens if their neighbour just happens to be a Marine or a firefighter or a cop? Or, I mean, the cop's gonna... Never mind, the cop's a bad example. It's this whole mentality of everything must be equal for everybody. You know what America's answer is to the strength discrepancy, the Second Amendment? The great equalizer.
protect them is cops on the beat to lock people up and real consequences when they do get caught. Not being let out time and time and time again. And that's what we're finding in so many of these cases. These are teenagers.
How about you take some fucking proactive action rather than reactive? Like, is that so fucking difficult?
Who are recruited by criminal gangs to steal cars, who commit these crimes repeatedly without any fear of any real consequence.
This vision is terrifying. I mean, it's time the scales were balanced in the right direction. I know that just looking at this vision terrifies me. And what I would do if someone broke into my house and threatened my family and my kids, well, I don't know.
Oh, so there you have it, folks. That's what pissed me off this week. It's 2 hours on the dot, so I'm going to end it there. But keep an eye out. I'm definitely going to try and get my Tickle v Giggle video out this weekend, and I'm hoping that I can cut back on the detail that I'm putting into some of the videos, because although they've done well, they do take a lot of time if it's a complex topic. I was aiming to get 2 videos out a week, and I'm hoping that moving forward, at the very least, I'll be able to do this stream each Friday. I know I've been a little bit lazy with the whole not streaming in the car and that sort of thing. I'm just trying to work out what the most appropriate way to do that is, but I'll sort that out for myself and whatever else. Do you get pancakes? Absolutely. I will pick you up in the morning for pancakes. Anyway. But as always, people, please remember, you are not a piece of shit. You have value and do contribute to society, especially for hitting that like button for me. It is more important than subscribing, because you do need to be an engaged viewer for this to actually count towards anything. But honestly, I just love being able to shoot the breeze for a couple of hours. So thank you so much for being here. But as always, stay healthy, wealthy, and wise, and I'll catch you all on the flip side. Cheers, peeps.
And again, on your way out, please do me the favor and hit the like and subscribe button if you're so inclined. It costs nothing. It's absolutely free, and we'll be friends forever. Bye now.
This shit, I'm out. Fuck this shit, I'm out. No thanks. Don't mind me. I'ma just grab my stuff and leave. Excuse me, please. Fuck this shit, I'm out. Nope. Fuck this shit, I'm out. Alright then. I don't know what the fuck just happened, but I don't really care. I'ma get the fuck up out of here. Fuck this shit, I'm out.
Oh, still got the fire on. There we go. Reason 80% of men get rejected. Mostly because they don't have the balls to take that first step. Stuff about the cast review, I don't really want to get into that. Honestly, I hate talking about the transgender stuff because I'm worried that I'm going to piss particular people off. But sometimes, like, you've got to set boundaries. Oh, yeah, and I didn't even get to talking about the fucking imputed tax. So the federal government, to try and fill their big tax hole or deficit or whatever you want to call it, someone's floated the idea of doing an imputed tax, which is basically that they're going to start taxing residential homeowners, which are traditionally free of state land tax and federal land tax. But what they're planning on, what two idiots from various universities have proposed is a rehash of the imputed tax system, whereby the government works out how much you would get for your house if you rented it out, and then adding that amount to your income for income tax purposes each year. Get fucked. We've already got local council rates that we pay every year. We then have that we've got Jacinta Allen talking about potentially removing stamp duty and instead charging an annual fee for residential properties. And now the feds are going to do the same thing. Like we aren't already under enough financial pressure. Fucking retards. Wow, I'm tired. I should not have said that out loud. Oh well. I'm going to invoke my white privilege card. Fixes everything. Trumps everything, I should say. Card holder is scot-free. At some point I've really got to try and do those, I was thinking about doing like a comedy special. I was like, there's no fucking way. I can't write like even 45 minutes worth of jokes. I would bomb harder than certain other individuals that tried stand-up. And there's no fucking way I'm doing it live. Tax for what? I got no idea. Honestly, it's purely just revenue raising. That's all it is. There's a whole bunch of other things this week that I haven't. I've got to work out how to speed up the video making process. That's just the long and the short of it, because I like doing the intelligent videos where I can give background, where I can give legal analysis, where I can do all that sort of stuff. But those videos take days for me because I'm like... I get maybe an hour and a half a night by the time I get home, have dinner, get Scarlett down, because then I've got to get up early, do the drive, all that sort of shit. I'm really hoping that once I no longer have to do that drive, that I'll be able to get back into either regular streaming at night or just speeding up the video creation. Because as it stands, I haven't. It's been over 7 days since I've posted anything to the main channel, and I doubt YouTube's going to be okay with that. And honestly, to me, it kind of sucks because I do feel like I've wasted that momentum. I mean, the original video that I did on the digital ID, that got 35,000 fucking views. That is easily my best video ever. And I've sort of squandered that, which I'm really not happy about. But anyway. Anyway. Peace out, peeps.